Liverpool's best starting lineup after Alexander Isak transfer as clear dilemma emerges. Liverpool have a selection dilemma to face after a £444 summer transfer spend. It was a record-breaking summer for Liverpool Football Club as the Reds went on a spending spree that saw them shell out over £400 million on new players. The Premier League champions' show of ambition saw them bring in Florian Wirtz and Alexander Isak in separate deals worth over £100 million each. Meanwhile, Milos Kerkez, Giorgi Mamardashvili, Jeremie Frimpong, Giovanni Leoni, and Hugo Ekitike were also brought to the club in high-profile transfers. It puts Arne Slot's side in a strong position to defend their league title, yet the Dutchman faces a challenge to rotate his side and keep everyone happy. So what is his best lineup? Echo writers Paul Gorst and Joe Rimmer have their say. Paul Gorst, so if Liverpool were playing in the Champions League final next week with a clean bill of health, who gets the nod following £444 million worth of investment this summer? Giorgi Mamardashvili will provide Alisson Becker with real international class competition for the years ahead, but the Brazil #1 remains the best man for the job in goal. At right back, the pace, power, and tenacity of Conor Bradley is a real option, and Dominic Szoboszlai has shown he can excel when called upon in that position also. But I am going to give new signing Jeremie Frimpong the nod. The Netherlands international can also help Mohamed Salah cause chaos by going on the outside with his blistering pace. We're yet to see what Frimpong can truly do, but I am backing him on the flank. Milos Kerkez is on the opposite flank as he goes about forging a path as Liverpool's left back for the long term, while Ibrahima Konaté and Virgil van Dijk at centre half is about as straightforward as it gets with this particular team selection. In midfield, it's a case of 3-2 for me. While Curtis Jones is growing in importance in this Liverpool squad, I still suspect the starting 11 will come down to two of either Ryan Gravenberch, Alexis Mac Allister, and Szoboszlai. It's a welcome headache for Slot to have, but I am going to stick with the first two, and the hungry captain can be the first reserve off the bench. It's harsh on Szoboszlai, who has started the season so strongly, but Gravenberch and Mac Allister's partnership is a must. That means Florian Wirtz operates as the number 10 just behind Alexander Isak, who leads the line in place of Hugo Ekitike, who has made a superb start to Liverpool life, it must be stressed. Cody Gakpo is now the undisputed first choice on the left, and Salah, who else, patrols the right side. Joe Rimmer, the beauty of Liverpool's £400 million summer spend is that the debate about Arne Slot's best team should be something of a moot point. In fact, Slot's best side is whichever one he deems suitable for the opposition lining up against the Reds on any given occasion. Needs stability and industry against a side that may dominate the ball? Dominic Szoboszlai, Alexis Mac Allister, and Ryan Gravenberch are the midfield for you. Looking to break down a stubborn defense sitting deep? Florian Wirtz can provide the answers. Wanting to break quickly and catch a side out on the counter-attack? Jeremie Frimpong's pace may be useful. Slot can mix and match until his heart's content with quality right throughout the squad, and he can turn to his bench in times of need. But for argument's sake, let's say Liverpool are in a major cup final. Who are his best starting 11 on paper? That's where some ruthless decisions are required. Alisson Becker is the undisputed #1 in goal, and after the failure to sign Marc Guéhi, Ibrahima Konaté is first choice to partner Virgil van Dijk in the center of defense. Milos Kerkez probably just shades Andy Robertson at left back as things stand, but right back throws up the first real dilemma. Frimpong was signed for a lot of money and clearly has his qualities. Szoboszlai has also shown he can play in that position with real skill. And yet for me, if fit, Conor Bradley probably just shades it for the time being. But that isn't to say I'd want to go without Liverpool's tireless Hungarian, who I believe is key to balance for the Reds right now. So he takes his place in my midfield alongside Ryan Gravenberch, and a man who I believe is arguably the best midfielder on the planet in Alexis Mac Allister. So what of £116 million man Florian Wirtz? I'm going to somewhat shoehorn him in at left wing, with Cody Gakpo perhaps unfairly on the bench. Alexander Isak gets the nod ahead of Hugo Ekitike, and Mohamed Salah takes his place on the other flank. Marc Guéhi could be on his way to Liverpool as soon as the January transfer window opens after they failed with an 11th-hour move for him, sources have told Football Insider. Speaking on the latest edition of Football Insider's Inside Track podcast, senior correspondent Pete O'Rourke revealed what sources have told him about Liverpool's so far flawed attempts to sign Guéhi. Guéhi played 76 minutes of England's 2-0 victory over Andorra on Saturday in his first appearance since that deadline day collapse, which saw Oliver Glasner give Crystal Palace an ultimatum over their captain. Glasner personally intervened to prevent Guéhi's last-minute sale after the two clubs agreed a £35 million transfer fee, and that leaves the January window as Palace's last opportunity to avoid losing him for free. Football Insider revealed on 6 September that Liverpool want to save a lot of money on Guéhi and wait until his contract expires, but January gives them an opportunity to beat other big clubs to his signature. Sources have told Football Insider that Liverpool are still front-runners to sign Guéhi and are in open dialogue with the defender over his future, with a view to finalizing a move for the 25-year-old either in January or next summer. Speaking on the new Inside Track podcast, O'Rourke stated that Guehi is still being steered towards a move to Merseyside after his collapsed move, with a decision set to be made by both parties in January. I'm sure there will be interest from other clubs in January, with Palace having their last opportunity to cash in on Guehi, he told Football Insider. Once the transfer window reopens, he can either stay and run down his contract, or other big clubs will make offers for him. Liverpool are still frontrunners. They probably spoke to Guehi once the move did collapse. We still want you, we would love to bring you to Anfield. There's still open dialogue between him and Liverpool over a potential move, whether that's in January or next summer. Crystal Palace have been criticized for bad business after retaining their captain, only to potentially lose him for free in 12 months' time, but Liverpool's lateness in agreeing a deal leaves blame on both sides. Palace had already cashed in on Eberechi Eze for £60 million, and Jeremy Pino only arrived to replace him with 3 days of the window left, and they would have been left with a matter of hours to replace Guehi. Liverpool's eventual £35 million makes clear that Arne Slot's side still have money in the bank, and with other clubs set to circle in January, a sizable portion of that fee must be committed to wrapping up Guehi's signature. Liverpool delivered exactly the transfer window response Virgil van Dijk hinted at after he agreed to put pen to paper on a new deal at Anfield. The centre-back thrilled Reds fans when he signed fresh terms back in April, suggesting at the time that he was expecting a big summer ahead for the club. Arne Slot clinched the Premier League crown in his debut campaign as Liverpool manager despite the club's failure to bring in a significant outfield player last summer. Nevertheless, the Reds more than compensated for that restraint this time around when they splashed out more than £400 million on fresh faces. The arrivals of Alexander Isak and £130 million, Florian Wirtz £116 million have particularly captured supporters' imaginations, and the Mirror reminded fans of Van Dijk's remarks about the transfer window, which have been proven correct, and then some. Whatever happens in terms of players going out, players coming in, I think it should be a big summer, the Dutchman declared shortly before his 2-year extension was announced. I think they're planning to make it a big summer, so we all have to trust the board, as a Liverpool-connected fan, to do the right job. I think Liverpool should be able to challenge for titles in the upcoming years. Many would concur after witnessing the club's recent dealings across the board. The Reds are already shaping up as strong contenders to retain the Premier League title, having won their first 3 matches. Liverpool were at one point in the running to win 4 trophies during Slot's first season at the club. However, their hopes were crushed in a matter of weeks following a devastating FA Cup exit at the hands of Plymouth and a shootout defeat to Paris Saint-Germain in the last 16 of the Champions League. But the hope is the squad will have learnt some valuable lessons from those near misses, and the reinforced roster should make it easier to succeed this time around. There was hardly a corner of Liverpool's squad that didn't see reinforcements this summer. Slot's enhancements in attack are well known, while 18-year-old Giovanni Leoni has provided the club the potential Van Dijk successor they've been seeking for some time. Andy Robertson also faced new competition at left-back from Milos Kerkez, who seems to be Slot's favoured choice, and the departure of Trent Alexander-Arnold was offset by the arrival of Jeremie Frimpong, who has so far shown at right-back. These investments were within Liverpool's means, especially after they sold nearly £200 million worth of talent. This should ease any guilt the club may feel after deviating from the more frugal approach often adopted during Jurgen Klopp's tenure. In retrospect, Van Dijk's remarks on the transfer window seem like those of a man with more insight into the club's plans than he initially let on. And after spending so little in the summer of 2024, it always seemed likely that a significant response was on the cards ahead of Slot's second season. That being said, few could have anticipated the magnitude of Liverpool's summer spending spree. Van Dijk is likely not alone in his belief that the Reds are now well equipped to compete on multiple fronts for years to come.